Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of the Old Fashioned Real Estate Show. My name is Jeff. This is Brian.
Good to be here.
Thanks. And today we're going to take a little bit of a different format from our usual format. And we're going to interview Brian. And we're going to find out a little bit more about Brian's history and his background. And so I'm going to ask some questions, and I think you'll really enjoy what we find out. So, Brian.
Or not.
Well, or not. That's definitely a possibility. And just a refresher, the Old Fashioned Real Estate Show is an opportunity to sit down and learn a little bit about real estate investing from a couple of guys who spent some time in the world of real estate. And you get to do it while drinking Old Fashions. So, Old Fashions.
Salud.
All right, so, Brian, what can you tell me about yourself?
Well, in the limited time that we have here today, I'll give you the Cliff's Notes version about me. I am originally from Southern California, attended the University of Southern California, where I studied real estate planning and development. And during that time, I started working for a construction company. So you could say that's probably when the bug set in initially for being in real estate. I always enjoyed building and constructing things because they tend to be permanent fixtures on the landscape and create somewhat of a lasting legacy. So I've always had that kind of appreciation for real estate. And after I got out of college, outside of a brief 2 to 3 year stint in corporate America, I have always worked for myself as both a contractor and real estate investor.
Let me ask you this. So, a brief stint in corporate America? What'd
Yes.
you do?
I rented cars for Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
Nice. I didn't know that, actually. And I thought I knew everything there was to know about you, Brian.
Got to keep a couple secrets.
That's right. Well, that was probably the last one.
No.
Let's hope not. Otherwise, this will not be very interesting for me. So, you said something I think is really interesting. You said that you got into real estate, I think, because you like the idea of leaving an impact on the land, like building a building that's going to be there, presumably even after you're gone.
Yes.
Is that because you're arrogant and you think that you should be around longer than other people?
I would say no, but there's probably plenty of people out there that do have that opinion of me.
I see. So, but really it's just you like the idea of actually changing a neighborhood, of building something that will stand up and people will enjoy for, decades or centuries to come?
Well, there's a lot of benefits to it, many of which, there's the benefit to oneself through profit in doing so. There's also the benefit, though, of the impact it has on the community. You improve property values typically, you create opportunities for families to form, which in turn benefit those same communities even longer term. So there's a much larger picture to all of it.
Oh, that makes sense. So you started out in construction in Southern California?
Yes, I went out on my own after that stint in corporate America, renting cars again. And I worked for a residential contractor where we built new construction homes or we would remodel existing homes for clients. We also worked on apartment buildings, schools, and other types of properties as well. And the reason for that mainly was my thinking at that time was I figured construction was one of the biggest inputs in real estate development, which I've always had an interest in. And I figured if I had a really good understanding of construction, that would give me a leg up.
Great. So you did that for how long?
I've really never stopped. So I've been in construction in one way, shape, or form for over 20 years now.
Great. So you started with the construction, and then at some point you transitioned to investing in buy and hold real estate. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. In the last housing recession hit Southern California in about 2007, 2008, at which point I quickly came to the conclusion that I needed to do something in addition to construction, because construction tends to be more cyclical within the market cycle. And whereas housing demand is constant, people almost universally need a place to live at all times. So we started looking, while we're still living in Southern California, at markets within Southern California, and then we branched out to Tennessee, looked at both Nashville and Chattanooga, Tennessee, where we live now, at the same time, and ended up moving out here about 6 years ago, and it has proven to be a great choice.
Great. So you moved to Chattanooga 6 years ago. That'd be like 2012, 2013,
Yes.
something around there. And then what'd you do then?
I jumped in feet first. I didn't really know anybody out here outside of a couple realtors that I had business relationships with prior to our move. I joined the Chattanooga Real Estate Investors Association and went to those meetings, networked through miscellaneous websites for real estate investors, etc., and started buying properties both as rentals. We also picked up houses to rehab and flip. That kind of kept the other capital flow going, and just built from there.
Great. And then at some point, I think you started a property management company?
Yes, we did. Myself and two other partners, we own First Property Management here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We started the company essentially to manage our own properties as well as that of other investors, and we have a little bit different mindset than other property management companies in that we take an investor-driven approach to property management.
Great. So what does that mean exactly in your mind?
Well, basically it provides a level of transparency that we believe doesn't exist with a lot of other companies. It also means that we want the focus to be on the investor and not necessarily on the returns and the amount of revenue we can generate for ourselves as the property manager. So our fee structure is lower. We don't mark up maintenance. You know, we take the investor approach to properties. I can't tell you the number of deals that we've missed on managing because I've advised people against buying those properties in the first place.
Well, I mean, that sounds really noble of you, I guess. So there must be a reason for you to do it that way. So, like, because it's not, I mean, most people get into business, I think, to make money.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that's generally the goal. A lot of people, though, that's maybe a secondary motivation, and I think that's what you're talking about. It's a secondary motivation for you to make money.
Well, yeah, I have my own rental portfolio, of course, and we like to, the way we manage our properties is the same as we manage for every other investor, as if they're our own. And our goal is ultimately to maximize the returns to the investor. And I've found that in the just about 4 years we've been in business at this point that we've grown exponentially. We don't advertise, and we have a pretty good reputation within the investor community as well. And it's proven quite successful. So, and at the end of the day, I like to be able to fall asleep at night with a clean conscience, and giving people the straight truth on any investment they're looking at, I think is the best value that we can offer.
Great. So, so what else do we need to know about you? Obviously, you're the co-host of the insanely popular Old-Fashioned Real Estate Show, now in episode 2. Other than that, is there anything else that we really should know about what makes Brian Levredge? By the way, just a quick side note here. I met Brian because one of my bankers said, I have this client that's last name is Levredge, and it's just great. Like, he's a great client, and his last name is Levredge. And this banker thought that was pretty entertaining. And he's like, you should meet that guy sometime. He buys a lot of stuff, he leverages a lot of property, and his last name is Levredge. And so that's really actually the main reason I was interested in meeting him, which is kind of shallow, I realize, but...
It certainly wasn't because of my looks.
I mean, you do have a really nice shiny head, so there is that. Anyway, so what makes you tick though? Like, besides the business aspect of real estate, is there anything else about real estate that you think that they should know?
Real estate to me offers a path to freedom, and without getting into the weeds too much on that, I've seen it firsthand what it's done for me and my family, and for individuals that have invested with us along the way. And really, what I like doing the most is helping people at heart. And we can break that down into a number of different categories, but I've always enjoyed meeting with other investors, whether they be seasoned investors or people that are just starting to dip their toe into the deep end of the pool, so to speak. and spending time and giving them advice. When I started out on my own, I was fortunate enough, to have some mentors that gave me some pretty valuable insight that allowed me to sidestep all the pitfalls that your beginning investor makes when they don't have those types of people to help them. And so this is, as much as anything else, is an outreach or an extension of that, whereby we can reach a broader audience, help other investors, no matter where they may be in their investing careers, branch out. Not just helping other investors, I give my time to various charitable functions and organizations that I believe in, and just like helping other people, really.
Yeah, that's great. That's really great. And on a personal note, Brian's talked me out of doing a couple of investments that probably would have been pretty bad deals for me. So anyway, so there's one question that we always ask when we do an interview, and I can say that confidently because this is our first ever interview on the show, and that is, and this is really important, when you drink an old fashioned, right? Which you made these, and I appreciate that. They're pretty delicious. Do you prefer an orange peel or a cherry or both?
Well, a lot of people have opinions on the proper way to make an old fashioned, but there's only one opinion that counts, and that's orange peel only.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us here on the show, and I hope to see you again in our next episode.
Probably a pretty high likelihood of that.